opponent would try to break through and cut off your line of retreat and then encircle you and destroy you. So basically what happened is that they drove through straight down his line of retreat, and the French army was in total disarray, and Napoleon only confused matters by acting very strangely. One soldier remembered, "When I regained consciousness, I rejoined my company by holding onto the tail of a horse, and then I saw the first consul sitting on the edge of a ditch on the main road to Alexandria. He was alone with his horse's reins in his hands, and he was flicking small stones with his riding crop." He was just standing there freaking out. It was the first time he had ever seen a losing battle, and he didn't know what to do. But what happened, is it on this map? That's not shown on this map, but what happened was he had sent out frantic messengers to the other armies that he had dispatched earlier in the week to try to block what he thought was the Austrian retreat. And one of these messengers found his man, a guy named Desaix, who showed up at the last minute. And while the Austrians were down here, Desaix showed up coming like this, and it turned into a total French victory just out of the blue because this guy showed up at the last minute. But Napoleon had not planned it. His generals won the battle by their own initiative. This is a picture of the chaos of Marengo. I guess that's supposed to be Napoleon. Okay, so what happened was he later, like 3 times, he just rewrote the history of this battle to the point where, actually, this is how he rewrote the battle in 1805, the second time, and what he said in St. Helena in his memoirs. He claimed that he invited these guys in there on purpose, and that he switched and pivoted his line of retreat this way by tricking them that it was here. And he changed it during the battle, something that had never been done before. And it only happened by accident, because people were retreating, and the Austrians had, in reality, broken so far into here that they had to retreat this way, and there was an old road there that they used that Bonaparte himself hadn't even known about. But he claimed that he did that on purpose, that he invited them to attack this line of retreat, pivoted his line of retreat this way, the whole army came this way, and then he claimed that his troops outflanked them on that side, which never happened at all. It's just total fabrication. But even though the battle is fabricated, he didn't win it the way he said. He did go on to win all the great victories after by the exact same method. Every battle he won in his so-called, his great phase, this is his greatest battle called Austerlitz, where he just annihilated the Russians and Austrians. It's memorialized in the famous scene of War and Peace. But basically, he tricked them into thinking his line of retreat was over here. He put out cavalry screens and had a fake line of retreat. It really was up here. The Austrians were tricked and Russians were tricked to make a major attack on his line of retreat, and he did exactly like in Marengo, but reverse sides. He swept down over these hills and outflanked the entire army and defeated them, only losing several thousand men and defeating the entire armies. And every freed land, all the other battles after, used the same strategy. Even in Waterloo, he attempted, but the troops that were supposed to come in the last minute at Waterloo were commanded by a man named Grouchy, who was his only noble-born marshal. And some people think that the British paid the guy off not to show up. So at the end of the battle, the Prussians showed up and defeated him instead of Grouchy's army. So, I just want to lay this out as a way to think about how criticism itself functions. It seems to me that in the creation of an artwork, there's a moment of chaos, war, creation, and almost spontaneous occurrence, but the critic needs to go back and look at what happened as if it was on purpose, basically. And I also do that when I read from my own works. I always, from the past, I look back and select pieces and read them and change them a little bit to make it look like I did everything on purpose. So now I'm just going to proceed to read you some of my own criticism, bits and pieces through the years, and introduce them, etc. I hope you're not bored. I feel strange with this. As I told you, I was going to graduate school in New York City, and my study of art and science